Bom tarde. Aquaba, welcome. Capitalist technology. It never ceases to amaze me. But welcome to this Sunday afternoon edition of Our Ancestors' Voices, our 162nd episode. And we're so glad that you have decided to join us today for this very important topic, best practices to prepare for pending white violence. And we'll talk about that. And we're so glad that you're here and able to come and participate with us today. We hope you're reaching your highest level of mental, physical, and spiritual strength today. We hope you're doing well, everybody. And this program is, of course, sponsored each week, same time, same place, by the All African People's Revolutionary Party, APRP. And we give thanks to the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere for their struggle to regain these lands, which rightfully belong to them. And we give respect and honor to our African ancestors who fought relentlessly for our freedom and our justice. I just finished a book on the Haitian Revolution and was just overwhelmed with the amount of brutality that the French and then the British and then the Europeans who settled in Haiti inflicted on our African people there, and all of that which led to our people uprising in 1790 and having the first successful slave revolt in the Western Hemisphere with the independence of Haiti in 1804. Our people have always struggled. You know, those of you here in the United Snakes of America, you probably have biological relatives in Haiti because the slave masters split us up that way. So we celebrate our people's struggle for freedom and liberation all over the world. We don't let the slave masters separate us like a confused people would do. So we're so honored to honor our ancestors and glad that you're here. And we just start, as we always do, by just simply providing context for this program. Our Ancestors' Voices is sponsored, as I mentioned, by the All African People's Revolutionary Party, the AAPRP. The AAPRP is, of course, a revolutionary, independent, mass, pan-African political party based in Africa, which just simply means we are fighting for the liberation of African people everywhere on the planet Earth. Our objective to achieve that is Pan-Africanism, which we define as one unified socialist Africa. So in other words, we see a united and socialist Africa as the solution to the problems that African people face scattered in almost 120 countries worldwide. Our work to achieve Pan-Africanism is not just carried out on a whim. It's not just carried out on how we wake up today and we feel. It's not just carried out when we get inspired and not carried out when we're not inspired. It's a scientific process that is outlined in Kwame Nkrumah's Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, the front page displayed on the top right of your screen. And that is our book, our playbook to achieve Pan-Africanism. It tells you in great detail the work that he identifies in the book. At the time he wrote the book in 1968, it was a theoretical framework for how we would achieve Pan-Africanism. Since that time, our work on the ground in Africa has changed the theoretical to the practical, that is actually happening every day. So we're building that work as we speak. Our Ancestors' Voices is hosted each week by myself, Ajamu, and my biological and ideological daughter, Shakura. So to get us started, as we always do, I'll turn it over to Shakura.
Good day, everyone. Hopefully you all are well and maintaining your highest level of consciousness in capitalist societies, which is very, very difficult to do. So we hope that you are doing well with that. I'm very excited to talk today because I think that we are coming to a continual crossroads, my comrades, and it is up to us to understand what our own responsibilities are that we can push towards a collective responsibility of resisting capitalism and resisting the same system that dehumanizes us every single moment of every single day. We have to understand that this has been a system of corrupt dehumanitarianism for over 530 years. These people have had a long time to think about ways of disrespecting you and me together. They've had a long time to come up with ways to make us feel less than. They've had a long time to work on media and messages and images that we have to be forced to intercept and to digest every single day, whether it's physical digestion or ideological digestion, causing us to reevaluate why we are not good enough, why there is something wrong with us, and why we should be doing better in our lives than we are. I just had a conversation yesterday with my dad about income insecurities and how it's very difficult for students who are not working over the summer to not feel like something is wrong with them because they're not contributing in a way that they would like to. And capitalism also teaches us that if we do need to rely on our family for financial support, then there's really something wrong with us. We are insecure, we are inadequate, we're losers, right? And so just really unpacking that didn't just happen last year. It didn't just happen with the start of the pandemic. That's been an ideology for ages, that you should be on your own and have your stuff together by the time you become an adult. And if you don't, then something is clearly wrong with you. That's what this system does, is it feeds off of us feeling insecure. It feeds off of us feeling like we are not enough. And it tackles every single component of how we may feel that way. It tackles how we look, because that's an ideology that we are not enough. So we need to enhance our eyelashes, or we need to have different color eyes because our regular color is not good enough. We need to have all these different opportunities to have the whitest teeth possible. Our lips are too big. Our lips are not big enough. Our behinds are not big enough. Our hips are not big enough. We have toes that are too big that need to be fixed. I don't know, but I'm saying these are things that are happening, right? Our education level is not enough. You should go back to school and you should get 10 master's degrees. You only have one, you're a loser. Like, there's all these different ways that we are feeling like we're not enough. As parents, we're being attacked. As pet parents, we're being attacked. Our children are being attacked. That's why you don't have the common sense you have, because your parents didn't raise you right. Like, there are all these different notions, you all, that are all collectively bridging that we are not enough. And that is the root of capitalism. Because if you feel like you are not enough, if you accept the fact that you are not enough, what are you going to do about it? You are going to spend money so that you can become enough. So maybe you're going to invest in a teeth whitening service. Maybe you're going to invest in braces because your teeth are crooked and it's embarrassing. Maybe you're going to find a way to change your hair color. Maybe you'll find a way to change your hair curl pattern. Whatever that looks like for you, you're going to do it. You might take a parenting class. You might register to go back to school. You will do whatever it takes so that capitalism can make money and profit off of you, while you need to feel like at least investing in this system will help make things better for you. That's what it comes down to, you all. And we can think about that on a larger level, because if you're feeling like you're not enough, and if you're feeling like you need to improve yourself to be better, then what does that mean for your collectivism? It goes out the window because you're so focused on yourself. You're so focused on doing what you need to do. And eventually, your vulnerability as a person still stays, because you're always going to buy more things to make yourself better. You're always going to have a new outfit. You're always going to have a new car. You're always going to need to move into a bigger house. But you're also going to start to understand that everything that you have done has been because you are struggling as a person. And you're going to forget that your struggle is somebody else's struggle. You're going to forget that you still have a responsibility to somebody else. You're going to forget that under capitalism, you're never going to be enough. Capitalism is always going to want you to spend more money. Always, always, always. Why is that? Because capitalism is a system designed to protect the profits of private corporations so that they can continue to make money no matter what. No matter if somebody gets killed or hurt on the job, no matter if somebody has a mental breakdown on the job, no matter if somebody crashes their car into the location of the job, no matter if somebody brings a gun to the job. that private entity and corporation must continue to make money no matter what. So therefore, you are always going to feel like you need to buy teeth whitening strips, or you are always going to feel like you need to buy a new computer. You are always going to feel like your internet service is not enough because you have Xfinity, AT&T, Verizon, and all these other companies competing for your dollar so that they can profit off of you more. You are going to always feel like you need a new car because as soon as you pay the one off that you have, there's a new commercial for a new car coming out, and you can't help but look at it because it's a nice color and it rides smooth and it's part electric, and you want to be better for the environment and all the rhetoric that exists in the atmosphere. That's what's being pushed down our throats. I also speak on this piece about the inhumanity. We're losing sight of how to do that. We're losing sight of how to be humane, and we're losing sight of how to think collectively, especially because if we do have a chance to engage in critical experiences or think critically or even engage in what it means to enhance our educational basis, in a lot of spaces on the educational front, we're losing the opportunities to work with other people. It's not like we're opting to do co-optive projects together. Our school systems have raised us to be individualized because that's also the intent of capitalism, is to train us to be good cogs so that we can grow up and continue, to make the system what it is and to protect those private corporations from continuing to make money. But we're also in a space where we might have a chance to do a group project. And I'm noticing as an instructor, more and more of those opportunities are going out the window. We don't have as many opportunities to do that because a lot of instructors are also individualized and they don't see the value in asking us to work together. So from the moment we start our first initial experience in education or to the last moment before we graduate, we have to take responsibility of understanding why it's important to teach these concepts of teamwork and building collectivism with children and also as adults, because that's another way that we can hold on to our humanity. If we're forced to work through disagreements and disruptions that we have with one another, if we're forced to be exposed to new ideologies, if we're forced to be exposed to new ideas, that's what helps us and makes us grow. We've said time and time again that the best way we can grow is when we are uncomfortable. And a lot of times you become uncomfortable when you're exposing yourself to something that's out of your own norm. So it's really important that we think about what are some of the in-person effects of not being collectivists? What are some of the in-person effects of not pushing collectivism on our children? What are some of the in-person effects of us not being able to work together with one another because we don't know how? What does that look like? How are we ever going to achieve a better world for any of us if we can't even work together now when it comes to selecting a parking space at the mall, or when it comes to selecting who's next in line when you know that that person came in after you, but they still are walking up to the counter before you? This is also where the individualism comes in, because when you're waiting in line to get gas at the gas station, you can't help but show patience because, you don't know how to show patience because everything is about you and you need to get on your schedule and do your thing. And you don't understand why the person is taking that long. Or maybe you don't understand why the DMV clerk is taking so long when all you need to do is just update your license. I mean, these are normal day-to-day things that we experience every single day, you all. When you're in the McDonald's drive-through line, every single day we experience these things. And I'm giving these real life applicable examples on purpose because I think it's really important for us to understand that capitalism is not just a system out in Mars and in the galaxy that we don't experience every day. It happens every day in front of our faces. We're smelling capitalism as we breathe right now. We're taking it in and it's inside of our lungs, okay? It's inside of our diaphragm, and then we breathe it in every time we exhale and release out. And so I just want us to understand they're not separate. They are definitely overlapping and unified. And so we need to understand that because capitalism is a system that is right here and that we deal with not just when we're organizing or not just when we're talking about organizing, but also when we go to the grocery store because we want to make a scrambled egg omelet the next day. We experience capitalism when we need to pick our children up from school. We experience capitalism when we go to the dog park. We experience capitalism when we go to the vet to pick our cat up, or to take our turtle out of to the aquarium, whatever. Like, we experience capitalism in every single space all the time, 24/7. Nine times out of 10, it's a capitalist experience that has caused something to be what it is. 9 times out of 10. And so the antithesis of that is, if we're experiencing capitalism all the time, then we should also understand that you still have the power to experience humanism all the time. Shout out to our political education team who gave a seminar, I think it was last weekend sometime, under the All African People's Revolutionary Party. And especially shout out to those folks that created that activity that we did, where they had real life scenarios, you all. You're in a workspace and you're noticing someone is being attacked because they spoke up about your low wages that everyone is receiving. You are with your friend and they are belligerent their partner in public. What do you do? How do you respond to these circumstances and situations? And so the PE committee members were asking us to apply our humanistic tactics and principles as humanists, because we are in the All African People's Revolutionary Party, and is still applying those beyond a party space, if you will. Because going with your friend and their partner to get ice cream is not necessarily an AAPRP space. But you don't have to be an AAPRP member just in that space. You should always be a humanist, which is a principle of the party, because the party is in you. You are not in the party by yourself. And so that means you should carry that humanist principle at every moment of your life. When you're brushing your teeth, you should be a humanist. When you're washing your hair, you should be a humanist. As my dad just said, when you're engaging with animals, you should be a humanist. You should try really hard not to kill all the animals in your house. I'm not saying you should live with spiders and wasps, because I'm certainly not going to do that. But I try to find the most humane ways that I can to get them the, you know what, out of my apartment so they don't bite me or my dog. But that doesn't mean I have to kill them. There's several ways that you can help animals escape, insects escape, so that you don't have to die from the process. We have to practice that more. We have to release our speciesness about ourselves, and we have to understand that humans are not better than animals. That's some BS rhetoric that we need to release. That's part of the issue with capitalism, is people think they're better than animals. We think we're better than insects. So we got to release some of that. We need to release the fact that we think we're better than plants. We need to release the fact that we think we are better than Mother Earth. We are not. Without Mother Earth, we would be nothing, literally nothing. And then animals would be eating us because our bodies would be decomposed in the grass. How you like me now? So we got to think a little bit more about that and what that looks like. And so again, just like we have capitalism that's with us every space that we're in, we also have the chance to be humanists. The question now is that if you know that your humanist principles are with you all the time, how are you exercising them? How are you exercising them? Or are you checking out and you're just bringing them up when you go to your organizing spaces? When you go to your meetings for socialism, is that when you become a socialist? Or are you a socialist all the time, especially when you put your mouth guard in to go to sleep at night? Are you a socialist in every space that you can be in? Because that is how you resist capitalism. Not selective socialism, but 100% practicing that. Even your subconscious is practicing socialism, because you understand that in any space, if you have a space of opportunity, that's when the system, the antithesis of capitalism, will come in and attack you. So if you understand that, then you know that you need to maintain socialism all the time, 24/7, so that you can resist, build the organization that you are with, increase your political education, and find a way to unite with other organizations that are following that same practice, so that you can do what you intended to do, whether it's helping Mother Africa to be free, whether it's helping occupy Palestine to be free, whether it's helping a part of Asia to be free, whether it's helping Ireland to be free, whatever it is, you have a responsibility to do that. You don't separate your organizing life from your life as a person. You are an organizer all the time, 24/7. And so we should practice that. We should practice humanism all the time, 24/7. Because if not, next slide, please. If not, then we're at a space where we're not going to be able to separate the two. We're not going to be able to separate barbarianism. And we're going to be promoting and perpetuating capitalism more than we intend to. And that's not what we need. We need more humanism. We need more organization, because we don't need to be in a space where we're doing the master's job for them. They have enough people doing that. They do not need our help with that. And if you choose to help them, let us know, because we can take you down and keep going as we continue to fight for justice, because we are peace-loving people, but we will take you out if you are a threat to us. You can either be with us or against us. It's very simple. There's unfortunately no other space around that. So we all have to make a decision about what kind of people we want to be. What kind of lives do we want to live? And how do we want to be remembered when we die? What kind of contributions do we want to make to this earth before we die? Some of us have no control over when we're going to die. We don't really know when that day comes. So I guess my question is, what type of organization do you want to be a part of as you leave this earth? Because your contribution is going to make this earth a better place as you exit out. But again, you would have to separate yourself individually from that. You would have to remember that the work you're doing is to make conditions better for people that you might not even know. You might not even know, and that's okay. You shouldn't be doing work because you want to please people you know. You should be doing work because it's the work that needs to be done. And if you don't do it, who will? So you need to step up and do it. You need to join an organization that's working for justice. You need to increase your political education and have conversations with other organizers in the same organization so that you all can achieve the goals that you have set out to achieve. No one said that this was going to be easy. But you know what else is not easy? When you get to the bank and they have closed for lunch and you didn't realize they closed for lunch. That's not easy either. We deal with uncertainties all the time in capitalism. So why are organizing spaces any different? And we have to learn to put aside our pettiness, because the objective should always be to enhance the conditions of oppressed people. However you see to do that, that is our responsibility. And so we need to continue to rely on humanism, peace, love, justice. We need to rely on truth. We need to rely on the fact that socialism is a great concept and system and not a bad one at all. We need to define what socialism is for people and bring up examples so they understand that they are living in a socialist world right now. I always bring up examples about how when you take your children to community playgrounds, that's a program of socialism, because your tax dollars pay for the lawnmower people to come out and cut the grass around the playground to make sure. Your taxpayer dollars pay for them to come and empty the trash cans when you threw away the popsicle package that you brought for your children to eat on the playground. We have to pay someone to do those things, and someone does do those things. And so because of that, now we can walk to the playground with our popsicles and our children and have a great time on the swings. Same thing with dog parks, same thing with the fire department. All of these systems are socialist systems, you all. So bringing up these examples so that people can see that, so that they can literally understand it, because a lot of people don't even know what socialism is, which is why we need to increase political education. And the best way to do that is by what? Joining an organization, say it with me, that is working for justice. We cannot be afraid, you all. And we cannot keep relying on the same solutions that are clearly not working. Having more Africans in politician offices is not the solution. Why? Because they are working for a barbaric system, and they don't have the power to change the barbarianism. We do. But the only way to do that is to resist barbarianism, which means we're not falling into the same system that has already played out the same patterns. Instead, we're resisting and trying something new. Joining an organization that's actually working for justice, not for capitalism. Ashe.
Ashe, thank you very much, Obrigada. And there's a couple of really good points you made that I want to pick up on for the remainder of this session. And the first one is, you all, this question, as we get into this question of how we prepare for the racist violence that's coming our way, how do we get prepared for that? The first point on that is, the capitalist system, whether you want to say it's fortunate or unfortunate, I think everything is dialectical, right? So that means there's positives and negatives in everything. So I think there are definitely negatives. I've dealt with those challenges my entire life, but there are also some positives. And what I'm talking about is the capitalist system very early in my life, when I was a very young child, exposed me to naked racist terror from this white supremacist system aimed against me and my body. I experienced that at a very young age, and I experienced it multiple times. And that's why I'm saying there are positives and negatives. The negatives, of course, are that it caused tremendous trauma in my life, that I had to do a ton of work, as many of you have as well, professional help to get over that, to get through that, to work through it, to learn how to not let the trauma dominate my life. And still, that's going to be a struggle and challenge that I have for the rest of the time I have on Earth. But the positives, the few positives, the dialectical positives that exist from that, is it helped me understand at a very early age what type of society and world that I live in, and who's controlling that world, and what their interests are, and where I stand in relationship to that. And what I mean by that is, unlike a lot of people, I never had the luxury of having this illusion of freedom, this illusion of safety, this fantasy that, oh, that will never happen to me. I've always had to understand clearly that violence and threats to my life and those around me could happen at any moment, any day, at any time. And so because I understood that, unfortunately, at a very young age, I have been able to be in the position to help prepare myself and others to be able to respond effectively when these things happen. So that's what we're going to be talking about, because the reality here in this society is, you know, what Shakur was talking about. It's a backward capitalist system that's in a severe state of economic decline. Anyone who understands anything about economic gauges and barometers knows that this system is in decline. Even the capitalist economists understand that it's in a state of decline. And if you want a clear example to illustrate that, just look at the fact that 60 years ago, in the richest country in the world, here in the United States of America, wages for working people were consistent enough with inflation results in the society that one person could work and have a decent job. And by decent job, I'm talking about a public sector job, work for the post office, for example. One person could do that in a family, and they were able to have an income that was consummate enough to the cost of living in society to buy a house pretty much anywhere in this backward country, except for maybe a few small, large urban areas. But for the most part, you were able to do that. You were able to send multiple children to college and pay tuition and live a relatively comfortable life. 60 years ago, that was a reality that for millions of people in this backward empire. Today, that's on most of you hearing this have never even heard of that. You don't even understand what I'm talking about with what I just said, because that's certainly without question. There was just a report that came out by the California legislature and the San Francisco Board of Supervisors this week that if you make $100,000 a year in San Francisco, you're considered low income because the cost of living and inflation has risen so much. So this is the reality of how capitalism is declining, you all. It cannot provide for people the way it did. The system is structured on stealing from the African masses, stealing from the indigenous masses, stealing from poor working people and every other people, and providing the resources, human and material, for the multinational capitalist classes to exploit the entire planet. And as a reward for being loyal to those multinational capitalists, the overwhelming majority of European working class people, petty bourgeoisie Europeans, received crumbs. You were able to receive a significant enough income to have a house and have toys and go on vacation. And in response to that, in return for that, those people had to display their loyalty to the capitalist system. And without question, they have done that in an unmatched fashion, okay? For centuries, they have provided that kind of loyalty to the capitalist system. Now, with the system in a state of decline, it's unable, based on the examples I just provided to you, it's unable to provide those resources to those people, the overwhelming majority of working class white people, European people, and petty bourgeoisie European people. So this has caused this backlash where these people now, the system knows it can't meet their needs, and it would never say, well, our system is in decline, we can't meet your needs. So instead, they do what they've done the last couple of 100 years. They blame us for the reason why white people are struggling, because of us. They show us looting everywhere, or what appears to be us looting. I don't believe anything they show, but they show us in stores engaging in this, and they show all this constantly. You all have seen it. And the reason why you see, and I'm not just talking about just in the United States of America, they do it in Britain, in France, all over Africa and Canada. It's a narrative that the capitalist system is creating, you all, to underscore this point that they're making about us, that we're barbaric and we're not human, so we don't deserve to be treated like humans. And as a result of this, these people's fear of losing something, losing their privileged place in society, losing the potential to have a prosperous life in this capitalist system, because of their fears about all of this, they are turning to taking out their fears and frustrations on the people that are being blamed for the condition that they're in and the lack of possibilities and potential that they now have, and the low forecast for what their futures might look like. They are turning to violence against us. They are taking that out on us. They don't have the courage or the discipline to study it and say, well, the real problem is the capitalist system. So the capitalist system telling them that we're the problem. It's worked for hundreds of years. Why would it stop working now? So that's what's happening. So because that's the reality, it places us in severe danger, because these people are now organizing to carry out acts of violence against us. And that's why I'm so happy that I can see that, because of the way I was forced to grow up. And I feel bad for those of you who have never had, the only way you've heard the N-word is through people saying it and lyrics in songs. So to you're totally baffled by why anybody would be upset about it, because you didn't experience it the way people like me experienced it. So I feel bad for you, because most of you are going to be in for a horrifying shock. A horrifying shock. This system is going to, unfortunately, show you exactly what it is. For those of you who have the rose-colored glasses on and you think, oh, we're safe here, we don't have to worry about, nothing like that would happen to us. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, that false vision is going to be unceremoniously and instantaneously disrupted in a violent way. So what we want to talk about in the time we have left is some things that can hopefully help you prepare so that that does not have to happen to you. Like Shakur said, nothing we're talking about now is really going to work until we do it in an organized fashion. You cannot defend and protect yourself individually in this society. There is no way to do that, because you're fighting institutions of capitalism and white supremacy. You cannot protect yourself individually. This can only really be effective when we do it on a collective level. So that's how we're going to talk about it. You can learn self-defense moves, you can learn how to handle firearms, you can do all of that. But if you don't understand this system, you're still not going to be prepared for what happens to you. You still in your mind think, well, the police are basically, not all police are bad. They're basically fundamentally have a tough job and they're trying to do it. Then I don't care what kind of training you are, you're not going to be prepared for that horrific instance that you're unfortunately probably going to experience in the time before us. So we want to talk about how we get prepared. And the first thing, again, like I just said, we have to accept the society that we live in. I don't care what capitalist society you live in, you have to accept that it's a barbaric, backward society, and that the people in it are barbaric and backward, and that therefore you are not safe in a barbaric and backward environment. And you have to accept that, and you have to stop wanting to believe this fantasy that these types of realities don't apply to you, because they do apply specifically to you. And I hate to have it be a case where it's not until you get attacked that you can wake up. because unfortunately, most of the time it's too late then. There's loss of life, there's loss of limb, there's loss of humanity, and you're facing the kind of trauma that I grew up facing. I don't want anybody to have to face that. I don't want any of our people to have to face that. I don't want any Africans or any peace and justice loving people to face that. So all I can do is tell you that you got to wake up and you got to be aware of what kind of society you live in. This is a backward, decadent, cesspool society. And I'm not just talking, certainly the United States of America fits that definition better than any other place on earth. But all of these capitalist empire countries fit that definition, each and every one of them. And we are international. We're not just talking about the United States of America. We understand the problem is worldwide. So understand that and accept the fact of the world that we live in. And then also eliminate the desire to give a conscience to the capitalist system. Like, stop believing this fantasy that if you just go to the city council and talk about how afraid you are, they'll figure out a solution to keep you safe. That is not going to be the solution to your problem. None of those institutions in the capitalist system are going to bring safety to you. This will only happen when we organize and create safety for ourselves. If you are a person that is unwilling to accept that reality, then you should just unplug this show and go to something else. You're completely wasting your time, and you're wasting our time. We are here to talk to the people who are ready to accept the realities of the world that we live in and are ready to do something about them. So you've got to accept those things. And instead of living in that fantasy environment, you got to be willing to prepare yourself and everyone you know for the inevitable. And the inevitable is that these people are coming after us because they are taking out their frustrations for the miserable lives that they have under the capitalist system on us, because this is what they've been trained to do. So accepting that reality and accept that no one is here to help us in this reality except us. No one is here. The police are not here to protect you. The fire department is not here to protect you. The city council is not here to protect you. People that live around you are probably not here to protect you. Unless you organize them, then that's different. But for the most part, most of us hearing this right now are living in absolute danger with the lives we lead. We don't know who we can trust. We don't know what the people around us are doing. We don't know what their agenda is as it relates to us. We don't know any of that. And that puts us in absolute danger. So we have to accept that reality. And then, you know, as most of you, I hope by now know, I wrote a book in 2021, A Guide for Organizing Defense Against White Supremacist, Patriarchal, and Fascist Violence. And that book details in great chronology how we organize in communities and prepare to fight this stuff. But we're not going to, you know, we're just going to, you should have the book, but we're going to just talk about some of the elements that came out of it, right? Like, it's critical that you create a security plan for yourself and your loved ones. And that doesn't mean just the people that live in your house. You create a network. Maybe you live in the same city. You have an organization. Hopefully you do. You should if you don't. And you have a family. So all of those people, you have 40 people that live in your city, combined family organization. You create a plan that includes all of those people. Some of the components of that plan are, if one of you is like, how do you keep in touch with each other? If the cell towers go down, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if the cell towers go down? How would you get in touch with each other if that happened? What is your plan to get in touch? Do you have a location selected where all of you would meet if electricity and cell towers went down? Do you have a method to get to that location that is as safe as possible? These are the things I talk about in the book, you all. And don't front, oh yeah, I know all that. You know damn well you don't have any of this in place. This is what we need to do. This is why we need to talk about it. Creating a security plan. And within that plan, it has to include training and practice for how you do certain things. And it has to be based on a political education process. All of this has to be based on political education. So We're not telling you you have to join the All African People's Revolutionary Party. We have a political education program, and we encourage you, if you're African, to join the All African People's Revolutionary Party, the APRP. But that's not just what this is about. So don't leave here, all they want to do is recruit people in their organization. No, a lot of you, I'm gonna tell you quite honestly, you're not ready. You're not serious enough to join the APRP. It requires a lot of work and study, and you're not willing to do that. You think that what you have in your brain is all you need, and we don't have the time and energy to argue with you about that. So if that's the place that you're at in your life, then yeah, you should join some other organization. I'm happy to point you to many others. I've wasted a lot of time with people like you. I'm not willing to do that to the same degree that I used to. And that's me. A lot of people in the APRP, I'm not speaking for the APRP when I say that last piece. I'm just being honest about me. I'm not willing to spend that kind of time wasting time with people like that anymore. I don't know how many years I have left on the earth, and I want to spend them as productively as humanly possible. So we're not saying you have to join us. We're just saying you need to be a part of some organizing process that's creating this stuff and has a process to address it. And within that component of political education, and we'll help you create, like you could say, well, I don't want to join the APRP because I don't like that brother. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to like me. I'm trying to organize us for liberation. I don't need you as a friend. I got plenty of friends. I'm trying to get rid of friends. So I'm trying to organize. So there's a lot of people I organize with that I don't like. It's not about that. It's bigger than me. I can work with you and not like you. I've been doing that for years with people. So what we're talking about is, if you need this and you don't want to join the APRP because you don't like me or somebody else, or you don't like Kwame Ture or whatever your problem is, we'll still help you develop your political education program because we know how to do that better than anybody. So you have that in place. Then you can bring components into it. You can do this with your family. We're talking about reading an article every week with a collective group. Do it over Zoom. Do it in person. Should do it in person. And have something you're reading. We can help you develop that process so that you're developing some understanding of the system that we live in, so that you have an understanding that it's not productive for everybody to come with their individual bourgeoisie, idealistic opinions. That's not productive. We need to be able to have a process where we can study things and come to comprehensive analytical understanding. So you can have a process that does it, even if it's just 30 minutes a week, collectively reading an article. We can help you if you need help with that. And then having another component, which is self-defense, where you practice training each other on how to defend yourselves. Not saying everybody has to become a black belt, but just helping people learn 3 or 4 basic and consistent self-defense moves that would allow people to free themselves and get away from someone and put somebody on the ground. Having a process to train each other on how to do that, critically important. And then connecting with other people who are trying to do the same thing so you can broaden your network, right? So having capacity, this is, again, all of this, I go in great detail about how to do this in the book, but I'm saying for now, because we only have so much time, these are things that you can do that help you get prepared, right? And making these practices a regular part of your daily life. Shakura is on here. She can tell you. She and I have practices we put in place that I've helped her put in place. I'll just say this. I'm on her all the time about consistently engaging some of those practices. It's very, very, very important. And, you know, she's doing what she needs to do. I'm not trying to say she isn't. I'm impatient, but it's only because I know the dangers they were up against you all. A lot of you all don't know. You living in this fantasy Bugs Bunny world, you don't really understand how dangerous these days are for us. And for those of us who understand, we are impatient. We want to see us get prepared. We're sick of seeing our people victimized by these terrorists. And so excuse us if we are a little passionate about seeing us get prepared so we can stop that from happening. All right. So making these practices a regular part of your daily life is critical. I have tons of practices that are a regular part of my life. that include exercise, self-defense training. Obviously, I'm a part of a political education program, a security plan so that I can ensure that my loved ones and I are connected if something happens, coming up with all those things, right? And start doing all of this right now. Don't wait. Start doing all of it right now. I mean, a shameless plug, I only charge $8 for the damn book because I wanted everybody to get it. And it has sold a lot of copies, but it hasn't sold anywhere near what it should sell in terms of providing this knowledge and education to people. So if you don't have the book, A Guide for Organizing Defense Against White Supremacist, Patriarchal, and Fascist Violence, you should get it. Again, it's only $8. You got $8. You can't be in capitalism without $8. So you got it. You should get it. You should get other people to get it. And you should study that because that'll help you prepare the way you need to do here. So the reason why we're always talking about joining organizations is because the forces that are up against us, they're organized. A couple of weeks ago, I was out here defending some of our folks against these organizations, these white supremacist organizations, and they showed up. Like 10 of them showed up. Proud, some of them were Proud Boys, some of them were neo-Nazis. So they had to do that. Some of them were some of these militia groups, I don't know, 3%ers, Oath Keepers, whatever clan type organization it was. My point is that they showed up and we had physical altercation with them. But they had to have some planning because they're not the same organization. They had to talk about what they were going to do. And they did have a plan. They just weren't as organized as we were. Okay, so that's the key. As Kwame Ture says, organization decides everything. And so they're organizing. They're not sitting here talking about, well, we're going to go out here and get these ends. I'm just going to do it by myself with no plan. I got a weapon I don't even know how to use. I didn't even clean the weapon. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't even know where it is. I don't even know where the shelves are. That's not what they're doing, you all. That's what we do. What they're doing, they're going out organized and prepared. They have a plan. They have an understanding of where to go. When that white boy went and shot up that Buffalo supermarket, killed all them Africans, he knew exactly where to go. He knew where we would be. He knew what time we would be there. He knew what he needed. He had a plan. He practiced it. He knew exactly what he was doing. And they're doing that. They have online networks that train them on how to prepare to kill us. And what do we have online? A bunch of coons and buffoons talking about a bunch of nonsense. That's what we have online. A bunch of idiotic nonsense. While these people are online planning to murder us. And we're on here talking about all this goddamn nonsense. So this is what we got to do, is decide if we want to live and live in peace. And there's going to have to be a price paid. Like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if we want freedom, we're going to have to be prepared to fight for it. There's just no way around that. If you know a better way, I don't know what the hell you're hiding it from us for. You're not hiding it. There is no better way. So joining an organization is just a way to ensure that you have a collective of protection. That's all. And start practicing using community events to sharpen your skills. So for example, if you have a family, you don't want to join a formal organization, so what you think is a formal organization, but you got a family of 10 people, then get your behinds out there. Like there's a June 10th event, or these people getting ready to commemorate their 4th of July, whatever it is. Get yourself out there where our people are and practice. Have a plan. Like, okay, we're out here, something jumps off, have a couple of you be protagonists and act like they're coming there with some cap guns and you're out there barbecuing, something jumps off. What are you going to do? Is everybody just going to run in all kind of directions, not knowing where you're going? What is your plan for what you do? Where do you disperse at? Where are the exit routes? Who's going to take who? Where are you meeting up at? What time are you meeting up there? What time signifies that something bad happened if you're not there? What is your self-defense response when they come out with the cap guns for the scenario, pretending it's real guns? Who is prepared to respond to them, and how will they respond? And what is your ability to practice their ability to respond so that they respond in a correct way that keeps people safe? You can practice that. You can do that with 10 people. That's what you should be doing now. And don't act like we're doing that now. We're not doing that now. That's what we should be doing, though. That's what's critical. That's what our enemies are doing against us. They practice killing us. When we were up in Oregon, when we were doing our organizing and training, we went to one of the sites in the country where we used to put up targets and train. And a bunch of us were out there. We got there. The Europeans had, they were shooting there before us as we drove up, and they had targets that had Trayvon Martin's face on it. And they had tactical training going on there because it's a place where people go and do that. They had tactical training happening there where they had dummies that they had built with sand, I guess, and they were tackling them and stabbing them and shooting them. And they all had Trayvon Martin's face on them, like the mask face on them. And then when they saw us, they hurried up and got all that and left. But, you know, I'm not mad at that. I expect them to do that. That's what they're supposed to do. That. Like, I'm like, everybody, people were like, can you believe that? And I'm like, yeah, I believe it. That's the country we live in. I understand why you're shocked. I'm shocked that you're shocked. You know, I'm prepared because I'm thinking maybe a target of Trayvon is not enough. Maybe they want to try to recreate another Trayvon Martin incident. So when I saw him, I'm prepared for that. That's what I was doing because I'm thinking, okay, it ain't gonna be no Trayvon Martin here today. It's gonna be some it's gonna be some Brad incidents with Brad and Trevor are gonna have an incident today up here if that jumps off. That's what I was thinking. But my mindset is different. And all I want to do, I'm not bragging about my mindset. I wish to God I hadn't had the experiences I had, but it happened for a damn reason, you all. And the reason is that I want to use what I know to help us get prepared. Nothing else. So using political education to increase our understanding of these class contradictions and to enhance our understanding, because a lot of us, well, the white man is the enemy. Like, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. And there are a lot of white people out here that are not our enemies. There certainly are plenty of them that are. Nobody, I don't need any of you to tell me that. I knew that before you were born, most of you. So please don't waste your breath coming at me with that kind of nonsense. Of course we know that. But we also understand from a class perspective, there are plenty of Europeans who are not our enemies. There are plenty of Europeans who fight against fascism. I have fought side by side with them. I have seen them throw their damn bodies in the way of police to stop the police from getting to me. So I'm not going to listen to you, who I don't know what the hell you're going to do in that instance. Tell me who my friends are. You got to be out of your goddamn mind. So get over that nonsense and get educated so that we can know who our friends are. I don't belong to a multiracial organization. I'm not advocating that. So don't lie and say that we were. But what we're saying is that part of our preparation is knowing who the hell our friends are and knowing who our enemies are. And many of these Africans are going to go right to the police and snitch on us. So we have to understand that so that we can prepare properly. That's what we're saying here. And we have to institutionalize practicing these things. Resist the false feeling that we are safe just because nothing's happening right now. That doesn't mean anything. Like Tavares saying in the 1970s, it only takes a minute, girl. That's true, you all. Things can fall apart immediately. And that's probably how it'll happen in this backwards to successful society we live in. So that's why it's better to sweat now than bleed later. And the way we do that is by getting prepared and getting organized and making sure that we can ensure that we have the proper perspective and proper training to get us together at the moment that we need to be together. My screen is freaking out on me, but I'm saying that just making sure that we do those things. So to summarize, make sure you have a collective, an organization of people that you're working with. Nobody here has the excuse not to have that. Make sure you have that. And once you identify that, make sure you establish a plan. And in that plan, you have a political education. Oh, excuse me, I'm allergic to capitalism. Oh, make sure you have a political education process. where you study, you're studying. It should be books. That's how we do it in the APRP, but you can build up to that. You can have articles and we can help you with that if you need help, but you should have something. It shouldn't be something where you just come in and people are expressing their individualistic opinions. That's not helpful. You know, you have to have an analysis to guide the work that you're doing. So that's why political education is important. Why are you creating a security plan? That's why you have political education. So have that, have the self-defense trainings in place. You need help with that, we can help you with that. All the way, including all forms of self-defense. We can help you with that. And have that all be a part of your plan that includes the variants that we talked about. Now, I have done many trainings on how to create security plans. So if you have a group, even if it's just your family, like I would love to have this training on how to create a security plan, because there are a lot of intricacies to it. I can't do it in this program. The point of this program is just to introduce the concepts to you, but I'm putting it out there publicly. I'm happy to come to your group virtually, in person. If you're out in another city, you're gonna have to pay for me to come. I'm not gonna pay to come. Obviously, if I did that, I wouldn't have capacity to do it too many times. But if you're willing to do it virtually, that's fine. We can do it virtually. I'm not going to charge people. We're revolutionaries. We're trying to organize our people. We're not in this to make money. Some of these people that y'all think are leaders of our people, they wouldn't even spit in your direction unless you pay them. And that should tell you everything you need to know about what's really important to them. But that's not who we are in the All African People's Revolutionary Party. So I have no problem. And plenty of people can tell you, we'll train you on these concepts. All you have to do is reach out. That's all you got to do. We're going to tell you how to do that in just a moment. So we want to thank you for that. And again, you know, this is a weekly workshop. It's an hour. This is not where the work ends, because this hour is up. This is where the work starts, in our view. Like, you all follow up and reach out and we talk and we build relationships and we build capacity. That's what we're all about. I know that's a foreign concept to people because they're not used to revolutionary organization. That's why we need you to let more people know that it does exist and it's here. We don't have, this is not no scam. We're not trying to get nothing out of nobody. We got resumes. We've been doing this work for decades. We got receipts of what we've contributed to our people. So don't bring that nonsense to us because you looking at somebody else on YouTube and you think because they're a charlatan and a con man or whatever, that's how we are. No, understand, learn the analytical skills so that you can tell the difference. And the way you tell the difference is based on what people are doing. Nobody's going to offer to train you and have experiences of doing that with other people if they're trying to just get something for themselves. So our Ancestors' Voices, next week, join us July 2nd. We're going to be talking about July 4th, reframing July 4th in terms of truth and justice. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. So I want to invite you back for that. We have a shop, you all, in the APRP where you can buy clothes that have positive political messaging on them. So you're not just, you know, somebody asked me, why do you always wear clothes with the message? I'm like, why do you wear clothes? Why? What clothes are there? Every day you got Nike on, Tommy Hilfiger, whoever the hell those people are. The difference between you and I is that I have messaging that promotes the struggle for our liberation. You have messaging that promotes your slave masters. So get something that promotes our struggle for liberation. Go to our Forward Ever shop to do that. Join the All African People's Revolutionary Party if you're African, in aprp-intl.org. If you're not African, join some other organization, or if you're African and you don't want to join the APRP, join some other organization working for justice. And you can do that. If you don't want to do that, rather, you can start your own organization called the I'm Glad He's Done, I Ain't Doing No Security Plan organization, and organize for justice. And if you want to reach out, and you should, you can go to, that's the site there under that, www.abetterworld.me, www.abetterworld.me. We respond as quick as we possibly can, and we would love to build with you all and help you organize security for these white supremacist terrorists in this society. And go to Hood Communist Revolutionary Literature. Go look at all of our programs that are trying to organize our people for justice there on your screen. I already told you about my book, A Guide for Organized Defense Against White Supremacist, Patriarchal, and Fascist Violence. All proceeds go towards this work. So if y'all figure out a way to get people to buy a lot of books, then I can come to your city and you don't have to pay. Because I have done that many times. You can ask around, people will tell you, but that's what I use the proceeds of the book for. So if you want that to happen, then figure out a way to make that happen with the book, and I'm happy to do that. So thank you all. We appreciate you. We hope to see you next week. We hope to talk further with you. Let's stay safe. Let's drive these racists into the ground when they mess with us. Forward ever, backwards never. Always stay clever in any endeavor. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.